Today I have something truly special to share with you. Back at the beginning of 2019, I shared a deeply personal video about my own journey as an entrepreneur, and I opened up about quitting my corporate job in order to build my own business. Though initially I didn't know what business to start, I had a strong desire to do something meaningful that would allow me to become my own boss. And the cleaning business I started grew to become one of the most successful in Toronto. By the way, if you want to see it, I'll drop a link for you in the description. Now today, I want to share an amazing success story with you from a remarkable young woman named Stephanie, who's walking a similar path. Stephanie was among my first group of students in the Decision Maker, my online course that gives a step-by-step roadmap for building a successful cleaning business. When she started the course earlier this year, she had no experience with cleaning and had never run a business before. But in spite of these obstacles, and in spite of continuing part-time in her previous job, Stephanie's managed to build a cleaning business complete with multiple recurring clients and even employees. How did she do it? I've invited her to talk with me today so that her story can be an inspiration to all of us. Stephanie, it's so nice to finally meet you in person because I know we've spoken on Facebook and I've heard all of your success stories and watched you progress and grow throughout the course and beyond. But the fact that we actually get to chat face to face is really exciting for me. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to meet you finally, and I'm excited to talk to you about my business.
I can't wait. So I'm going to dive right in because I think it's going to be so much fun for everybody to hear about all of the amazing accomplishments that you've made. So why don't you just start off by giving me a really quick overview of where you're at today as a business owner?
All right. Well, currently I have 3 part-time employees and I'm looking to hire a 4th right now. I have the ads out. We have about 19 reoccurring clients, and that is either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. I have 3 commercial accounts, and then we have about 20 other one-off or occasional cleanings. This month we just hit 5K in revenue a month, and next month we'll be hitting about 7,500 with my newest commercial account. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember what that felt like. It's a really amazing feeling, isn't it? When you start to see the zeros?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, literally 5 months, I think, in business, and every single month is just like,
And that's kind of the nice thing about being a business. And even though you don't have to know all the things about accounting, like if you know enough about accounting, you can kind of look at your numbers month over month and see growth. I remember a long time ago, I read this article and they were interviewing a really, really well-known businessman here in Canada, which means no one else in the world would know him.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We have some very, very good business people here. And his statement about growth was very simple. He said that his dad told him, as long as you're bringing more money in than is going out that month, and as long as that number is going up, you're doing well. So keeping it simple, but being excited about that growth. So looking back to January of this year, you were in a completely different place. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about your work experience to that point and what kind of things were on your mind as somebody who was aspiring to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a lot of waitressing experience from 14 to 21. I waitressed all the way through college. As I went to school, I continued working a couple odd jobs, bank teller, which I hated. But then I started working for my family's company once I graduated. I graduated from our local tech school with a marketing, associates in marketing degree. And my family's company, US Solar Mount, is a manufacturing facility for solar related products. And so for the past 3 years, I have been the office and marketing director there. That gave me a lot of experience when it comes to the business side of things. Not everything, of course, but when it comes to QuickBooks, estimating, customer relations, as well as WordPress web design, social media marketing. So I do have some of that background that set me up well, I feel.
Yeah.
And I had just moved to the town I live in now, Black River Falls, and I had stopped waitressing about a year previous to that. And so I was kind of at this place where I felt I had a lot of free time, and I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And the income from waitressing was no longer there. So it's just like, oh, well, I feel kind of limited right now, and I have really big financial goals, and I felt like I wasn't going to be able to hit them with my current level of work and everything like that. So that's where I was in January.
We have like very parallel stories. I had a lot of waitressing experience. I worked at a bank. I graduated from the business program as well. I was pretty unhappy at the bank. So hello, lots of similarities. But you know what's cool? Like, I find even with the waitressing and the banking and the things that we don't love, we still learn so much from them. And I know I brought a lot of that experience into the cleaning business, and it sounds like you've done the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Like customer relations, I feel like I really can nail because of all of that, service industry type of work is,
Yeah.
I know how to deal with customers. So that's really helped. And now with my family's company, kind of bringing it to a more professional atmosphere, and I'm learning how to do that basically.
And being a service business, this is all about customer service. And we talk so much about that in the course. So having that background understanding, and I actually found waitressing to be so helpful for that as well, the customer service side of things. Mm-hmm. That's really awesome. And it's also cool that you get to see and participate in a family business, mm-hmm. because like my parents, neither of them were entrepreneurs, but I had always wanted to be one. It would have been nice had I grown up in an environment where I was exposed to that and I kind of heard like the ups and downs. But all that to say, I mean, I was still able to do what I did without that exposure, but it's so nice that you did have that exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like being exposed to, such an entrepreneurial mindset since I was little, my entire life, that's all I know is, my parents or my dad being, his own boss. And so it was very natural, and it helped it seem attainable, whereas someone without that might think it's this far-fetched thing.
That's right.
To do it yourself.
So you were someone who wanted to own a business and become an entrepreneur, but you didn't know what kind of business to start. Did you have any experience in cleaning?
Not at all. I obviously had chores as a child and, clean my own house. And but not when it comes to being paid for cleaning, never, ever have I done that. I definitely, have considered it before, as a side job. And we can get into that later, but yeah. No professional experience.
All right, fair enough. Again, same here. Mm-hmm. Don't mind if I point out the similarities. So what made you choose to start a cleaning business instead of some other type of business that you might have considered up until that point? I mean, we know where you were in your life. Yep. What drove you to that choice? Cleaning of all things.
Well, there were several reasons. One, I enjoy cleaning and I know what it can do for others. That was one of the main driving. It's like, okay, I've always enjoyed serving others in some capacity, and I saw that as an avenue as well. Two, very low startup cost. I don't have a huge bank account where I can just pull from for opening a company that needs lots of equipment or something like that. Mm-hmm. And three, there was no really competition in my area. I live in a really small town, so that was one of the biggest things. Was there's definitely a need for it. So that was one of the main drivers as well.
I remember hearing you say that in the Facebook group that you were in a small town, and I was like, oh my God, you are so spoiled because you have this very condensed community and no cleaning providers. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is such a bonus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's definitely housekeepers, individual housekeepers. And I certainly considered doing that route before I found the course. But yeah, obviously I'm glad I went a business route instead.
Cool. So how did you first hear about the Decision Maker course and what made you decide to join?
Yeah, so like I said, at the time, last January, I was considering potentially getting a side hustle job, just cleaning houses. I was like, I like cleaning, it's not bad, and I could make some extra money. But I quickly thought about I already work full time. How am I going to fit in cleaning to any capacity without burning myself out, one, and, really limited income. It's like you only have so many hours that you yourself can clean.
Right.
So at the same time, obviously I watch your YouTube videos because I like cleaning and learning about cleaning. I watched your YouTube videos and I saw I don't know what video it was, but it pointed towards your kind of entrepreneurial channel, and that's where I saw it. And, I signed up for your free, like 4-lesson videos or whatever. And that really just started churning in my mind, like, wow, this could be something. So yeah, that's how I found the course.
You know what I think is really interesting? When we have an open mind and we kind of want to change to happen in our lives, we start to hear and see things that we wouldn't have necessarily been able to hear or see had our mind been closed to it. I know that that happened for me, and that's what I think is so interesting about your story. I think when you're ready to hear or receive certain information, it kind of comes to you and it becomes very apparent very quickly.
And that's what it felt like. It felt like very serendipitous, like, oh, this just all came together perfectly. And that I totally agree with your statement of, I think that's why I was in the right place, in the right mindset. I was ready for something. A year ago, I don't think this necessarily would have came to be because I wasn't ready and I wasn't in the place I am. Yeah. So it was supposed to happen, honestly.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Now, when you decided to start the Decision Maker course, you didn't tell anyone about that. Is that right?
Correct. I didn't tell anyone. And there's pretty much the main reason for that is, in the past my family's definitely worriers and, a little bit risk averse, even though we do have that entrepreneurial spirit. So, as well as friends. And I have found that anytime I've, had a great idea or wanted to go for something big, the well-meaning, but kind of negative influence comes in. And I really, I had this idea, this little baby idea that I wanted to nurture. And I knew that it would get killed really quickly if I told somebody, because nothing had been built yet. There was no proof that this was going to happen or that it was even a good idea. So I decided not to tell anyone and just join the course first. And that kind of was like my set in stone decision, like, this is happening, not I'm thinking about doing it.
I remember hearing in many different facets of my life that very piece of advice. If you have a desire or a dream and you want to make something happen, you keep it to yourself. Because the second you let the cat out of the bag, and it's funny because we both have cats, so that has different meanings. But as soon as you let the cat out of the bag, you're going to start to hear negativity, and then that negativity can get into your mind and it can start to affect the tapes and the self-talk that you have in your head. So by just keeping it private and keeping it to yourself, you almost shield yourself from that negativity and you kind of give yourself the best chance to succeed. So I'm really happy that you did that. I know sort of off topic, but I did that when I decided to have my daughter unmedicated, go through birth without an epidural. And I tried to keep it to myself as much as I could, because each time I would say it to somebody, I would always hear like, are you crazy? What are you thinking? And you know what? I ended up having an unmedicated birth, and it was such a great decision for me, and it made sense to me. And then when I told everyone about it after, they could say what they want. I had already been there and done it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you started, I'm thinking back to when I started my cleaning business, I know I was fraught, despite, all the positivity that we just talked about, I was fraught with concerns and areas of uncertainty, especially at the beginning. What were some of those areas of concern or uncertainty for you when you got started?
The main one, well, actually there's probably 3 or 4 main ones, but one of them, even though it happened to be turning around, my biggest benefit was that I live in such a small town, and I think it's about 5,000 people, and then, a bunch of towns around it as well. And I was very concerned about there being a market for it. I didn't think that people were going to be willing to pay what I wanted to get paid. And I knew that there would be more overhead costs associated with the business, so I needed to be able to charge more. The second main one was definitely just self-doubt, being like, who am I to open a business? I'm 23 years old. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to want it? Who's going to even, believe in me? So a lot of, I would say, internal struggles were the biggest areas of uncertainty, of just going back and forth of like, I can do this, to what am I doing? This is ridiculous type of thing.
Okay, so that, if you speak to any other entrepreneur, that is so normal. Every time I chat with a friend or, anyone that I meet who's an entrepreneur, it's just a similarity. It's something that's there. But what I find over the years, this Halloween, funny enough, we registered on October 31st, 2006. So this Halloween will be 14 years, which is so crazy to me. Is it 14 years or 13 years? I don't know. Don't quote me on the math. Math is not my forte. But the great thing is, you don't have to be good at math to have a cleaning business. No. You just need a phone with a calculator and it'll figure it out for you. All that to say, I've found that over the past little while, you start to build up a confidence, and that self-doubt that was so prominent at the beginning starts to fade, because you've seen yourself go through enough ups and downs and come out on top, that you start to know that even if I make a mistake, or even if I made the wrong decision, or I hired the wrong person, or I didn't get that cleaning perfect, like, it's not the end of the world. And that starts to quash some of that self-doubt that you have.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, And I love how you say that the one thing that you thought was such a detriment to your business, being in a small town, actually turned out to be a huge boon for you. Because when I hear that you're in a small town of 5,000 people with no competition, I was like, oh, 5,000 people who need cleaning?
Yeah, exactly.
No competition, proximity to other small towns. This is sounding pretty great. I'm in a big city. There's a lot of competition. You have to work really hard to establish yourself. And of course, it's doable. And there are many companies in Toronto, where I'm from, that are super successful. And, they have great businesses going. But I think you have a bit of an edge there, just saying. So all that said, when you were following this step-by-step guidance in the course, because, when I planned it out, in my mind, I was like, okay, when I was starting this business and had sleepless nights and I was panicking and I needed guidance, like, what did I need? And I felt like having something that was very clear and very step-by-step would be the best possible way for me to deliver the information. So I'm just curious, on the receiving end of that, what were some of the challenges that you encountered with that step-by-step guidance that was provided? And you won't hurt my feelings. I'm just curious more than anything.
Oh yeah, and I don't think there's nothing per se wrong with the course. It's just challenging to do all of those things that need to be done. Yeah. Some of the my biggest roadblock, and we talked about this extensively in the course, which I appreciate it, but it was still very difficult to decide how to charge, because there's flat rate, hourly, a mixture, and I just was so uncertain, how to go about that. And if you go online, everybody's got an opinion.
Yep.
Like, you have to charge flat rate. It's the only way, or hourly is the only way. And so that was a difficult one, but I finally just, went with my gut and what seems to work well for my business. And, I chose hourly for residential, and then commercial, kind of a flat rate. And, a lot of times it's very individual to the client as well, what I decide to do, what they're looking for. I was also really nervous about all of the business registration and tax setup and everything that, like, I don't like any of that, but I knew it had to be done. So I met with actually my family's company's accountant here in town, and she helped me, walk through everything. And I know you kept harping on get an accountant, and you really got to get an accountant because they'll just make you feel confident that you're setting enough aside for taxes and everything's by the books. Like, I could have registered my own business, but I had her do it because I wanted all of that done correctly because I don't want the IRS coming after me.
Yeah, I mean, that resonates so much with me because I'm so scared of all tax people.
Yeah.
And like anybody who has any ability to audit me, I'm terrified of. Not that I've had a bad experience in the past, but I just find that whole thing so scary and intimidating and overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I've always been a very by the books person when it comes to that. And I find it so funny what you were saying, how like you're not an accounting or tax person. I find like all of that paperwork, that's kind of like the bikini wax of business, if you will. It's like the thing that we all dread, but it has to get done and done right. And the reason I'm so adamant about bringing in a professional is because like the way that we advise people to hire a professional to come in and do their cleaning for them, I'm really a firm believer that we should have professionals do what they're best at for us to help us succeed. So ultimately, can you do your own taxes? Can you figure all that stuff out yourself? Yes, you can. But at the same time, if you want to have it done properly and efficiently, and you want to protect yourself from any future issues that you might run into because you haven't done your paperwork properly, just get a professional. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just knowing when to hire out, like it's a waste of your time just to try to muddle your way through it when they could do it in 30 minutes. Makes total sense. And the last large thing that I was really uncertain of is estimating. I had no idea how long it was going to take me to clean. Or somebody else to clean as well if they're doing efficiently. And I really was happy that you had those forms in there that kind of gave us, okay, this should be about what it should take for time for a typical bathroom, bedroom, etc. for deep cleans and normals. So I really appreciated that. And I also, was timing myself in the first couple cleans to help with that. So other than that, I'm a lot better at estimating, but sometimes, it's still off.
You see, and here's the thing, like I think at the beginning when you start this business, you're like, how will I ever know how to estimate? But then once you've done, and I think I did put this in the course. Once you've done, I think it's like 10 or 20 cleans, I forget exactly which number I had in there, you're an expert. Like you've seen it all at that point. So while it might feel daunting at the very beginning, what I was trying to articulate in the course, and I think you've picked up what I put down, is like once you get a certain number of them under your belt, you'll just know. Like you'll just know what to do. You'll know, okay, that bathroom is 37% messier than the one I just saw on the weekend, so I'm going to add in a little bit more for that. And the other thing I'll say is just about pricing. I mean, to this day, like we're still toggling with our pricing strategy because we have to be responsive to competition. We're always listening to our clients. Like we're always just trying to figure out what makes sense today. So it's not to say like we're just back and forth and changing all the time, but more along the lines of like, even if you make a decision to do all fixed pricing and then you decide that doesn't feel right for me anymore, you can always just switch to hourly. It's a matter of sending out effective communication to your clients, chatting them through it, helping them transition, grandfathering them in, whatever it is that you have to do. But you'll be able to make those adjustments for your business. And that is also something that we kind of talk through in the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the, time estimating, now I walk into a house and it's almost eerie. Like I did a cleaning with one of my employees a couple weeks ago, and it was 8 hours on the dot, for each. And we walk out, he's like, that was perfect. How did you do that? I was like, I don't know how I did that. It's just,
you just know you have the microchip installed now.
Yeah, exactly.
And doesn't it feel so great to say I was with one of my employees?
Oh yeah, it does.
Isn't that fun?
They're all older than me too, so.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. The first lady I hired, she was probably my age now. Whew. But she felt so old to me at the time, of course.
Yep.
And I remember like it was certainly an experience to hire somebody who was older than you and to sort of navigate that, but it's totally doable.
Yep.
What were some of the biggest wins that you've had so far?
Well, I wanted to talk about wins in the course, specifically what I found most useful.
Yeah.
The weekly affirmations, just going back to that mindset. Yeah, I'm not an affirmation person. It sounds so cheesy, but and then I read You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And so those things are always going through my head. And just, it was weird because every time we broach a new topic each week, it was very targeted, the affirmation, and applied. And I would literally say that in my head because those were the things that were going through my mind, that specific self, they changed every week, which self-doubt was happening. But so I found those really useful, as well as the book suggestions. The first book I read that you suggested was The E-Myth, and that definitely just cemented in, like, I want to run my business. I don't want to be cleaning. Like, I knew I wanted to get out of cleaning as quickly as possible because you can't run your business. The two big areas that I was most proud of going through the course that have really shown themselves now that I've been running the business is having those values very clear, my company values, and having those being kind of my guiding light for every decision, every marketing message I send out. My whole website is designed, around my why, like why.
Yeah.
People respond to that so well. Like the Facebook posts that I do where I talk about why I did this, like it just, those are the most effective. Those get the most views, the most comments. And people just like hearing, like, that it's not just, well, I just want to make money. It's like, no, these are my values. This is why I'm doing this. So that's really effective. And that, I feel like, really set me apart, because if you visit my website, you know exactly who I'm trying to target. And that was also another big part that I really liked about the course was, obviously, I have a marketing degree, and one of my favorite classes was market research. And so that really spoke to me, and I really took that to heart. And I did all those things, like, studying the demographics of the area, who's bringing in the money, who just comes and goes through the area, who's living here. And so, when I wrote out my target market and my ideal client, like, I nailed it. That's like, if you look at our client list, that is who it is. And obviously we have outliers, but those people are my bread and butter. And that's because, like, I know them, I learn them, I interact with them every day in my community. So that's, that I feel like was a really big win.
Looking at your website, it is so clear to me what you do and who you are and what you're about. And there's a lot of talk in the business community that people don't necessarily buy the service, but they buy, like, the why behind the service. Yeah. And I think you were so good at articulating that on your website. So I'm so happy that came through among all of the other great things that you've been sharing.
I just listened to the book Start With Why, and that just cemented in. It's like, why, people don't buy Apple because they love Apple products. They love who Apple is.
So when it came to getting clients, what did you do to actually get your first client?
So as you said in the course, I did practice cleans before I even announced my business. And this is how I, first of all, it gave me great experience with time, like how much time it's going to take. So I did, I think, 5 practice cleans, and I made sure to choose people that, these were free cleanings. I made sure to choose people who were in my target market. So, the gym I go to, right down the street from my house, that is the biggest gym in the area, and everybody there is almost my target market, and so I made sure the first person I cleaned for was a friend of mine who I met at the gym. And then I also did, 4 other ladies who, and I say ladies because that's pretty much who I interact with. This is a mom.
Yep.
And then my first, so then in exchange for those cleanings, I asked them to do an honest review on Facebook once I announced the business, because my Facebook page wasn't up yet. I didn't want to announce anything before it was ready. So I kept everything under wraps until I was, like, sure I was ready. And so I asked them to do the reviews, and then once I created my Facebook page, they put the reviews on there, and then I got my first paid cleaning right through Facebook. So on my Facebook page, my business Facebook page, I really try to push everybody to messaging, and then from that messaging, my auto message is, great to hear from you, blah, blah, blah. If you want a quote, here's my quote request. So then they go straight to my website, do my quote request. So it's really funneling people the way I want instead of just being aimless about it. So that I've gotten, Facebook has been my greatest avenue other than word of mouth when it comes to, getting people, because in my area, Facebook's really popular. So
that's amazing. I love that you've integrated Facebook into the business. And it's so cool what they can do with those autoresponders. And
yeah,
I think Google My Business has it as well. And we're kind of experimenting with that stuff as well. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And now that you've built up your business, remind me again, how many clients do you have now? I think you said you have 3 commercial clients.
Yep, 3 commercial.
And commercial clients are so great.
I know. And
I do love a good commercial client.
Yeah, I can't say no, especially, it's like, that's why I felt comfortable. Like, I just got an office last week, 4 months in, and I never expected that, but it's because I got that last commercial client, I felt comfortable doing that because that's a big account. 3 commercial accounts, hoping to grow that drastically now that, they all talk. And about 20 reoccurring clients.
Wow.
Which, to me, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like, that's, a lot of hours for people. And then about 20 other people who we've cleaned for, either just one-offs or they just want us sporadically, that type of thing.
Now that's really good growth. What do you think you've done to get your client base to grow that quickly?
I definitely think word of mouth has been the best for me, as well as being extremely active in my community. That's a lovely thing about a small town, is that literally everybody knows everybody. So if I talk to, what I consider influencers in my target market, they just it spreads. It's crazy. And so I really think that, I haven't had to do any paid advertisement yet because everybody's talking. And, I talk everybody's ear off who will give me the time of day about my business. I tell everybody about it because, everybody knows somebody who needs cleaning or they need cleaning. So I think that's done really well with growth. I've also been very active with my Facebook page, and just having a very cohesive brand image across all avenues has really helped, because they know what they're going to expect. And being like, I think our company motto is, blah, 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 reliable. And so that the customer knows what to expect. When they go to my webpage, they see the same thing, the same image as when we walk through the door with our nice polo shirts and our clean car. Like, it's the whole thing. And I think that really has impressed people, where there was nothing in the community before that was like that, very professional.
Totally. I totally agree with you. It's kind of like you're taking your town by storm and you're giving them what they always wish was there.
Yeah.
And now you're the person who's bringing it there. So that's amazing. So in terms of the actual course, we have these 8 modules that we had you go through. Not specifically which module, but which parts of the course do you think have helped you the most? Understanding they all helped you to a degree, but which do you feel really moved the needle for you?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely solidifying my target market early on, so that everything else kind of came from that. Having the discipline to say no, and I say that because I definitely took that from your message of, you need to be targeted and you cannot say yes to everybody, because you can't be everything to everyone. And I think you've said that multiple times throughout the course. And I have had to say no when I really want to say yes to things. It just doesn't make sense. Like, people ask all the time, well, do you do painting? Do you do exterior cleaning, etc.? And I'm like, or do you do organizing, like hardcore decluttering? No, I have to say no, because that's not where we're at right now. And it takes a lot of discipline to turn money away, but really it would cost me more money in the long run to do that. So that was really, really useful. Being taught that, the price, I remember the pricing week was, everybody was just waiting for it. We were chomping at the bit to have that release, because it's all we could think about was like, how do we price this? And, it was crazy, because I was thinking of going much lower than what I ended up going. And, you just gave us the confidence, like, you need to be like, running a business costs money and you need to be charging enough for it. And I even, I talked to my dad about it as well, like, because he was an electrician for a long time, and he's like, you need to go higher than what you're thinking, because there is so many costs that are going to come up, and people will pay it. Like, they will pay it if you show them that value. So just the course really gave me the confidence to charge what I need to charge to be successful. I found the client forms and the employee HR forms, those were, oh my gosh, like I was so happy to have all of that, because for me, like you, I like to have things all in place, and it was really important to have that all in place before I started hiring employees, so that when I did hire them, it's like, all right, here's all these forms. I mean business, it's not like, okay, let's go clean. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Here you go.
yeah, exactly. So that was really important. And one of my employees, he's worked many jobs prior, he's in the military and everything. And after I hired him, he came back and said, I have never filled out more paperwork for a job before. And I'm like, I'm covering all my bases. Like, I do not want to get, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for cleaning industry people, and I see so many get burned because they don't have these, signed, non-disclosure or non-compete or whatever. And just not having to do that all by myself was really helpful. Let's see. I really liked the Facebook group, especially I got a ton of advice there. Like you said, with my logo, I gave the girls and the guys in the group, here's my potential designs. What do you think? I got advice. I got advice on how to accept payment, because I was pretty unsure about that. So yeah, it was a really great community to have, and we were all going through things at the same pace for the most part, and that was really helpful. And I even still like email back and forth with a couple of ladies who are in the group, just checking in on each other. And we're Facebook friends and things like that. So that's awesome. Made some, great friends as well. So a good source of community there. Yeah. And then I also got advice when I break my first breakage, which was very early on. I think I remember you mentioning it in the video, the 1 week.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good. Good to get that out of the way. I've only broken a couple things so far, and they've been, no family urns or anything.
Right. Oh my God.
But
it's like a cleaning service's worst nightmare.
Yeah, literally. And then finally, I found the weekly Q&As extremely helpful, because, it wasn't like you just set the course and was like, here you go, guys, like, you're on your own. Like, that was really helpful, because we could bounce things off of you instead of it just being a very stagnant, like, like a textbook, basically.
Yeah. Listen, I could keep hearing you compliment the course all day. Go on. But yeah, so many of the things that you said, again, like when I was sitting there and I was writing the course, the documents, like even the girls at my office, they constantly make fun of how much paperwork I have people go through. But again, like, I'm very much about crossing T's, dotting I's. I want everything done. I want to make sure that my employees have been told what they need to know, that they have a reference point, and that we have signatures on file. All that stuff is so important. And you're right. Like, I'm in those Facebook groups too. People get burned. They get burned because they're not methodical about how they set up their business. And you can't think 2 steps ahead when you don't even know what to think about.
Yep.
So when I put the course together, I'm like, I've thought through all of this. I've been through it. I've written and rewritten again these documents. I've taken some out that were useless. I've put some in that were really important. Why have somebody who's taking this course go through the pain of trying to figure all of that stuff out? And in a lot of other courses, like these sort of business building courses, they won't give you the forms. And I was like, that's not cool.
No.
Like, why would I tell you what form you need and then away you go? Like, I wanted you guys to have the documents that you would need. Now, of course, there were areas that I left blank because, again, according to the state or the country or the province that you live in, you're going to have to fill that out yourself as it pertains to the laws of your jurisdiction. But For the most part, I wanted you to just have what you needed so that you could put it in your binder and then you could build your business from there. So all of what you're saying just makes me really happy. I'm curious, like if you were to look back over this journey, was there a particular moment that you remember where you finally felt like you had made it?
Yes, definitely. And that moment was the first time that I got paid for a cleaning that
Oh,
somebody else
yes.
did. That was an
Yes.
amazing feeling.
Totally.
It was surreal. Like I was at my, my family's business because I still worked full time there at the time. And I remember my brother works there too. And I remember saying to my brother, like, I'm getting paid right now for somebody else working. It was crazy. So yeah, that was amazing.
That is truly, uh, that is quite a moment in a business owner's journey. And imagine when that happens when you have 20 employees
Yeah. Yeah.
and a full schedule,
Oh
and
yeah.
then 50 employees and a full schedule.
Mhm.
It just, that's what's so cool. The business is scalable, and like that feeling that you had, it just starts to amplify. And then that one moment where you felt like you made it, imagine what that moment is going to be in a year from now, Like
Yeah.
so many cool, exciting, interesting things happen. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what's coming in my inbox today? Like, let's see, what kind of cool things come my way today. It's so interesting.
Mhm.
And those moments of arriving, like your target's always a moving target. So it'll be really cool to see, how that grows and changes over the years. Hiring your first employee, I remember what that was like for me. And I was shaking in my boots, shaking in my cleaning Crocs or frocks because they were fake Crocs. It was really intimidating for me, especially I was 24 when I did my first hire, so about your age. And as I said earlier, she was probably my age now, 37. And it was really freaky. Like I was nervous and I felt awkward. I'm like, oh, I could be your daughter, but also I'm hiring you. Like it was just so weird. So I'm curious, what made you decide? Because you were very clear, like you wanted to get in and out as quickly as possible in the cleaning space, even though you love cleaning. Like
Yep.
you want to build your business, you don't want to be scrubbing, which I totally understand. It's a big step to hire somebody and to entrust them with this baby, this business that you're building. So what made you decide to hire so soon, and what gave you the confidence to do it?
hmm Yeah, it was mostly out of necessity at first. I was working full time and I was doing all of the cleanings in my free time. And so there was no time. There was no more time. I was starting to have to not turn people away, but say, in a couple months, I'll be able to get to you when I have employees. And so it was
Yeah.
always the goal and I just didn't expect it to grow as quickly as it did. Honestly, it happened a lot faster than I expected. Which was great, but also like, oh my gosh, I need to hire somebody. And so
Yeah.
it just was out of necessity. And because I had all that paperwork in place, I knew I didn't know what I was doing, but it felt a little bit more secure. And so I just put the ad out, and I think I went through 4 people before, and I haven't been open long. I've gone through 4 people already without finding my golden guys and gals now that I have, the
Mm-hmm.
3 that are just amazing. And I went through some real duds. I just wasn't discerning enough with my choices, but I didn't know any better. And I've learned so much in this short time about what to look for and red flags and things like that in interviews, that I was just doing at the coffee shop because I didn't have anywhere else to do.
Of course.
And so, yeah, that's been the biggest, I guess, challenge, but also the biggest area where I see potential success. I want to scale this very large, and you can't do that unless you have employees. And so, having the mindset of like, oh, I'm not going to hire because employees are just trouble. Well, then your income's going to be here because that's all that it can happen.
Yep.
It can't go way up here because it's just you can only work as much as you can work.
Totally. I feel like in business, there are calculated risks, and even though they are scary, like there are scary things you can do in business that are just bad decisions, but then there are scary things that you can do in business that are good decisions, but they're still uncomfortable. And that's kind of what hiring is like. But you're right. I mean, with all your ducks in a row, okay, I'm going to hire somebody. There's a chance it's not going to work out with them, but you kind of build your hiring muscle, and you'll start to get better and better at who you decide to bring in and how you train them. And, just having, you're right, like having the foundation, like the paperwork that we go over in the course, having your employee handbook and your application, like just having all of that in advance makes the process easier. And then as you change or the way that your business moves and shifts, you can sort of adjust your hiring process. But having that starting point, you're right, it does give you the confidence to at least do it. And then doing it means you can build your business.
Absolutely. And I still am not 100% happy with, how I train. And I actually just, my oldest, longest employee, I guess you can call him, I just texted him this week, like, hey, I want to meet with you. We need to come up with a system for training, because I just kind of I had to throw him into the water, like head first, basically, because there was no time nor system in place for training. And so that I really, I find that really important, is to, ask for their input on, what would you like in a training? What would be best? So that's something I'm going to start implementing, because, we need to hire again. And I don't really want to be training. I want him to take over the training. So.
And I love hearing you talking about having a meeting with your employee and working on your business instead of working in your business. That's another thing that's like a theme of the course. Like, I want people to know, like what you're doing, you have to pull back and you have to work on your business to grow it. So booking some time aside, having a meeting with your key employee, saying, let's figure out a training program. All of that is really smart, because you're taking time to be strategic about growth instead of flying by the seat of your pants, which is insanity.
Yeah.
Now, we've all been there, and it happens from time to time, but we try to reduce it as much as possible, because the more strategic you can be, the more controlled you can be, and typically the better results will show from that effort.
Absolutely. And, always trying to become like a better boss. I'm so young, and I don't have, I have leadership experience, but certainly not in this capacity. So it's a learning experience, and you had a lot of good points on, okay, you're a boss, not a friend, but you also have to be, there for them, and, trying to make decisions that they feel good with, and that they don't think are ridiculous. And I've tried to, implement some things where they have autonomy. Like, I just started, next month we'll start a new tradition. I decided of each month a different employee is going to choose a charity to donate. The business will donate to, so it gives them some choice, and a charity that's important to them. And that way, the business is helping the community, but the employees are involved, instead of me saying this is what we're doing or whatever. So giving them autonomy there. I just joined Cleaning for a Reason, so that'll be announced next month. So just trying to give the employees more purpose than just a paycheck, I guess.
That is so nice. My goodness, that is so nice. You're so exemplary in how you're developing your business, honestly. I'm so pleased to hear all of this. Your staff and your clients are very lucky to have you. So we're going to be opening the course again soon. I'm sure you're aware of that. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling pretty excited about it. Yeah. A lot of people they're going to be seriously considering the decision to build a cleaning business. They're going to be in your shoes, kind of where you were when this whole thing kicked off. So if you could have a conversation with someone who wants to become a business owner, mm-hmm. what advice would you give them about choosing a path forward as someone who has freshly walked in your shoes?
I would say definitely, be very choosy with your time and your focus, and to just continue to plod on like a workhorse. And even if you can only do 20 minutes or 10 minutes here or there, just do it. And, forward progress is any progress. I did this while working full time and having all these other responsibilities. And it was just after work, I do 20 minutes on my website, or do 20 minutes on my HR forms, or whatever, just continual forward progress. I would also say, do not say yes to everything. Know who your market is, know what you're selling, and know that this is where you need to be at the start. Because if you try to, do a shotgun approach, you're not going to be, an expert in anything. So I would definitely say do your research on who is best, as well as when it comes to hiring. Don't hire the first person you interview like I did, because that's exactly what I did, even though you told me not to. But I was just panicked because I was like, I have this schedule. I can't do all the cleanings. I just need to hire. So don't do that. And then secondly, I would say you will get exactly what you expect. So if your mindset is that you're in a bad market, or if that employees are terrible, or that people aren't going to pay your rates, you're going to get exactly that. So it's all about the mindset of having, like, people will pay my rates. I'm going to find amazing employees, and my market is perfect for this. Just a very positive mindset is really important. And then finally, be over professional to the extreme, more professional than you think you need to be, because that is what got me some very, key clients at the beginnings. They were blown away by how professional I was. I had my, I came to their house, I shook their hand, I had a uniform on, hair pulled back. I had my worksheets, all the tasks that were going to be performed, notebooks for taking notes. I showed them my software that I use for, customer management, as well as, the cleaners, they clock in and out, GPS, so just blow them away. It's everything, like how you look, how you act online, your personal social media, they're going to look you up. So don't take anything for granted that your client won't see exactly what you're doing, because when you choose to open a business, your life is now not just your life, it's also this business, and you become it a little bit. So you need to kind of up your game, honestly, when it comes to who you are. So
those are all so poignant. I love that you said be over professional. I almost want to coin that phrase. You and I can coin it together. Like, it's so true. And what's so amazing? There's so much professionalism that is lacking in the cleaning industry.
Oh my gosh.
And I tell my staff, and like in the course, like I just say, like, you just have to do a little bit better than everybody else. And even that's going to set you apart. So the fact that you say over professional, and you're so right, uniform, looking clean, hair tied back, and we go through all that in the course, and then you have your notebook and your checklist, and you show them the app, like, way to instill confidence in someone. You're like, cleaning is such an intimate thing. You're in someone's house, you're in their castle where all of their worldly possessions are. They want to know that they can trust you, and a great way to engender that trust is to be over professional.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no background yet. I had no basis to show them. So I had to just blow them away with who I was, because I didn't have before and after pictures. At that time, I had no clients they could ask, or anything. So they just had to go off of me and trust me. And that's what they all told me. It's like, I just trust you. And that's the best feeling when they say that,
Totally. And the other thing I love is what you said about mindset. One of the things that I did very early on in business, and why I talk about the affirmations, and I agree with you, they are so cheesy, but affirmations, I can honestly say they changed my life. Like, I read books about affirmations, and it was really hard for me to feel confident at the beginning about what I was doing, especially because unlike you, like, I didn't like cleaning and I wasn't good at it. And it was hard for me to wake up in the mornings and feel motivated to do this thing that I really hated.
Yep.
And then I would get all of this anxiety about, like, am I going to have clients? And so when I started to do my readings about and like learn about affirmations, I would just start affirming that I would get 3 inquiries that day, and I would book 2 new clients. Like, I would just start putting this stuff out there into the universe.
Yep.
And to this day, like, I do affirmations. I say them out loud. Chad and I will be driving, and I'll like shout out an affirmation, and he kind of looks at me, and I'm like, just you wait. But I believe so strongly in mindset and affirmations. And you're so right. Like, you will get what, I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, folks are as happy as they make their minds up to be.
Oh yeah.
That might be me paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure that is the quote. And it's so true. If you decide that you want to be happy about something, you will be. If you decide you want to be successful about something, you will be. So you're right. It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
And, those are all of my questions. I feel like I could talk to you for another 3 hours about business, but I want to thank you for generously sharing your story. I know like you could be cleaning right now, but you're sitting here chatting with me. So I really appreciate that. Your story is so inspiring. Like I'm inspired right now. I mean, we've just had this chat and I am so happy. I'm like so high off this conversation because I feel like you've given me so much by hearing this, by me getting to hear this feedback and having this conversation with you. And I know I've given you a lot as well, but I am so excited for you. I think you have a really bright, no, I know you have a really bright future, and you're doing a tremendous job. So keep up the great work, and I cannot wait to see where this takes you.
Me either. I'm excited. It's gonna go places.
It is going places.
It is going.
Affirm it. All right. Well, have a great rest of the afternoon, and thanks again.
Thanks, Melissa.
Now that you've heard what Stephanie has been able to accomplish with the right guidance and a lot of grit, I hope you'll be inspired to take action and achieve dreams in your own life. And since I'm reopening the Decision Maker course in just a few weeks, I have a special invitation for you. In just over a week, I'll be reopening my 4-part online training on starting your own cleaning business. So, if you've ever thought about being your own boss, then this training will be the perfect chance for you to explore whether a cleaning business might be the right fit for you. And if you've already toyed with the idea of running your own cleaning company, or if you've been cleaning professionally for a period of time, you're going to love getting a peek into the inner workings of a multi-award-winning cleaning company. In the training, you'll discover 5 big reasons why a cleaning business is the perfect first business to start, the side hustle approach and how to get started with hardly any time, money, or business experience, how to get your first paying clients, that's always exciting, my proven method to defeat overwhelm and build a failure-proof business step by step, and much more. The training is absolutely free. However, it's only available for a limited time, and the first lesson is going to be released on September 16th. So, if you've ever dreamed about becoming your own boss or had fleeting visions of escaping the unfulfilling daily grind and instead owning your own business, well, I hope you'll join me for this special free training. To sign up, head to thedecisionmaker.com and reserve your spot. I am truly looking forward to having you there.